Okay, this is my first video, first time ever recording, so excuse the quality, and I'm not going to go back and edit it or anything like that. It's just going to be a quick how-to guide, and we're going to go over the basics of ground combat real quick. Ground combat, in a way, I think is a lot easier than space combat. It's just a little bit more simple, and I think you can break it down to 8 or 9 key focuses or areas that you want to focus on. We'll start off with skill points. So, first thing, wrong tab right up here. Your skills. Of course, ground is what matters right here. As a tactical officer, you want to do damage. You're not about, heals and durability, which you do want to stay alive. But in most cases, you'll be able to stay alive in simple PvE content. Now, PvP is a completely different beast. What I've done is, in your weapons proficiency, criticals, expert, penetration, improved penetration, and improved criticals. All these are going to give you extra crit chance or severity, extra pin, armor pin, and so forth. So these are all important for your, damage output. Now, when it comes to the other, your kit. Your kit is probably what a lot of people do not focus on, but your kit abilities, your kit modules, they can actually do a lot more damage or boost you to do a lot more damage from just, you're just shooting your weapon. So I've put all my points into kit efficiency and performance. This increases the performance of it, and also the efficiency reduces the cooldown time on your kits. Down here, it's important to pick certain skills. This one is not really that important. Over here, device expertise. This is going to affect your stuff such as your power cells, which as a tactical officer, power cells, or if you're a PSI, your kit boosters can add a lot more damage, so that's a good choice there. When it comes to the training ones, those really don't matter. Improved aim for your tactical officer, because it's all about more damage. Again, here, that's another training, doesn't matter. Fatal Fist, I went with, it's just a damage resist on melee attacks, but in most cases, you're going to be shooting a gun. You're not going to be, using your fist or swords or what have you. Over here, improved flank damage. Again, it's all about the damage. You're not trying to, improve your resistance or so forth. It's all about the damage. Again, another training one. And then this is an important one, offensive mastery. You want to get the +10 in weapon proficiency and criticals. Okay, when it comes to specializations, I prefer temporal operative just because of the kit +50 kit performance. It also has your kit module recharge speeds right here. And then commando. Commando gives you +10 weapon damage. It gives you your cooldowns on secondary fire. Gives you cooldown on your kit abilities. Gives your added crit chance, +5% crit chance. Never bad. It does also give it a little bit of extra hit points when it comes down to this area. You got your +20 all damage resistance, +20% maximum hit points. Same with a shield, +20 maximum shield capacity, and also reduces damage to shield by 10%. Some tacticals will go with command. I have ran this in the past, and I swap back and forth, just playing with it and testing it out. It does have some exploits, uh, somewhere somewhere in here. Also, it does have your like debuff and control removal, so it can be a little useful, but for the most part, I've found that I like temporal the best. Intelligence would be another one. Um, I don't like the bonus, the plus 15 dodge chance. Not not big for me, but it does have some flanking uh, damage bonuses in here, which could be a little helpful. But for the most part, I have found that I prefer temporal better. Okay, traits. We'll just move one tab over. Let's take a look at personal ground traits real quick. Again, we are looking for, especially for colony sims, you don't get killed often. Usually it's going to be a strike from the Voth or something like that. Every now and then maybe the Heralds or Tholians every now and then. But for the most part, you don't have to worry about damage resistance and so forth. You don't have to worry about survivability traits. And now, again, if you were doing Arena of Sunpack, or if you're doing one of the STF queues or something, then you might want to, pick a little bit different. But as far as your sims go, it's pretty straightforward. I like Technophile just for the kit performance. Hive Mind, this is a very popular one and really good, especially if everybody in your team is using it. Plus 2% all damage per teammate within a 20-meter range. Bonus doubled if teammate is also using Hive Mind. So you got 4 others using this, you're looking at some bonus damage. Conduit. This is going to add plus 10 bonus energy damage from using your power cells. So this is nice. Right now, and I'm weary on this one, I won't change this one out, but I am currently using Lucky, the plus 3 critical chance, and then you get a plus 10 increased chance to expose. Self-modulating shots, plus 50% shield pin. Most of the time, their shields are gone first shot anyway, so I don't think this is really an important one. I am looking for better ones to swap this out with, and I figure future lockbox releases, Lucky and self-modulating shots will be dropped. This is one that just came out with the Discovery lockbox, and I've been playing around with it. The plus 5% anytime you or a teammate kills something. You got a map full of spawns, NPCs. I figure it can add up quick, especially since, teammates are killing things left and right. You should be too. Introspection. This is great for colony sims. Now, if you're doing bug hunt or, NTTE, something else to where you're running around, I don't see a lot of use for it. But in colony sims, you can pick a spot, squat, and you can stay there for the whole sim. Especially as attack. So this is good. While stationary, you get stacks of bonus damage and health regen. It does cost some damage resistance though, but there again, most of the time you're not taking in a lot of damage, so therefore it's still very good to use. Vicious. This is just for every 6 seconds in combat, you get plus 1.5% bonus all damage and plus 6% crit severity. And it stacks up to 5 times. Sounds good. Last but not least, creative. Plus 30 kit performance. There again, we're just trying to bump up our kit. Ground reps. Right now, I do have armor penetration slotted. Now, I do swap this out, just testing out other things, but you get your plus 10 armor pen. There again, in Colony Sims, they usually go down quick enough, so I don't really see this being very useful, but it is slotted for right now. Second would be Deadly Aim, plus 16% crit severity. Every time you crit, this is just making it plus 16% better. We should have Deadly Aim. Oh, I'm sorry. Personal Energy Amplifier. This is just giving you plus 5% bonus damage off your kit-based skills. And your kit-based skills, we'll go into that here in a minute. Lethality, plus 4% crit hit chance. Gotta like anything that adds to your crit chance. And then something to help with more bonus on damage while aiming, plus 10% bonus damage while aiming for mental acuity. Now, speaking of aiming, a lot of people do not do this, but if you will sit there and just hit X, look right here, aim, plus 30% range damage. This is a must. Also, if you hit C to crouch, you can look, plus 50% dodge, although you do have a minus 100 damage resistance versus melee. There again, how many spawns or NPCs come up and actually hit you, and if they do, your health regen is going to regenerate itself quick. One thing about settings, we are going to go to your options, go to controls. If you're on the ground, it's already going to be ground. If you're in space, you can still get to this by just clicking ground. A couple things to check. Auto attack. I personally have mine on toggle, never cancels, but there are other settings. Non-combat cancels is another one that I've seen people use, but I just prefer never cancels. When you come out of red alert, you're gonna stop shooting anyway. Use zoom cam with aim mode. You want that off, because with it on, then you get that like sniper scope look, and that just makes it hard to use. So turn that off. Aim mode as a toggle, on. I think it's preset as off, so you actually have to hold down X to aim, and you don't want to do that. You want to free up your hands. So have it where you can toggle on and off, so you want that on. These others, I don't think I have changed up any. Oh, one thing, camera flow type, you might want to check and see what yours is on. I have mine on the move and camera type free camera, because if you have it on follow target, I find that especially when you're trying to move, it's harder to move around the map because you're focused on this target, so you start moving towards it instead of like, hey, if you want to go to the left or right or back away from it. Okay. Oh, one other thing. Okay, we got the auto fire. Now, one other thing you can do is auto fire by right clicking. See how that's green now and says auto firing up here. You can actually leave it like this, and your weapon will automatically fire as soon as targets are up here on the screen. I personally don't use that right now, as I have mine and my trays set up, and I will go over that shortly. Okay, let's talk about kit modules real quick. For tacticals, this is going to boost your damage. Your kit modules are important. I think a must-have for any tactical is motivation. This is a lockbox kit module. You can find it on the exchange. It is, I forgot what it's going for right now. It is several $1,000,000 though, or EC, I'm sorry, but it is well worth it. As you can see, team crit buff heal on crits. It is going to give you bonus damage. It's well worth it. It has a low cooldown time, or fairly low. Ambush. This is another good one for, look at the bonus damage. Plus 264%. Great. Photonic Overcharge. Again, you're looking at to self, you're going to get a boost to crit severity. And your attacks deal an additional 15% damage as radiation damage. This is another one that has a short cooldown. We're all about short cooldowns. Trajectory bending. Oh, I'm sorry. Ambush, that one you can craft. So you should be able to buy it also off the exchange, but you can craft it. And Ellen goes up to UR, Mark 14 UR. Photonic Overcharge is from the Iconian rep. So as long as you got tier 3 in your Iconian rep, you just come over here and you can make it. It's right there. Kit module. Takes 20,000 EC, 3,000 dilithium, and 250 Iconian marks. I personally like it. Trajectory bending. This is another one from Lockbox. I want to say it's one of the cheaper ones that you can get. I think it's like between 1 to 2 mil EC on the exchange, and you can see the increase to your crit severity, plus 100 kit performance. It's also activating a kit ability instantly reduces secondary firing mode cooldowns by 3 seconds or 15%, whichever is less. Last but not least, the Graviton Spike. This is from the summer event. So if you weren't playing last summer, you will be able to get it this coming summer event for your Lulu nuts or whatever. I forgot what they're called. This is one of the few AoE kits or damage that you can do as a tactical. Science tunes, they got AoEs out the wazoo. Tacticals pretty much just do straight up raw damage, but we do have this one that we can do as an AoE. So best time to use this is when you got a group of NPCs. If you got 3 or 4 of them together, you hit them with this and it affects all of them instead of just a single target. Wonderful. More damage. The kit itself. This is just a kit from, I believe, one of the fleet holdings, probably the Spire, I believe. It's just a kit performance ×2. The rest of it, the weapon damage is okay, but personally I'd rather have a kit performance 3 or 4. I've tried crafting them. I've crafted hundreds of kits and I've never crafted anything better than a kit performance 2. So I've just given up on it and I just use one from the fleet holdings. While we are on this screen, we will just go ahead and talk about equipment real quick, such as armor, shields, weapons, and devices. The body armor for tacticals. Right here at the starbase, there is a armor that gives you plus 80 crit severity. It's paper thin armor, but it's better for dealing damage. I personally use the Herald Tactical Armor. Why? Because I bought it a little while back and I just haven't changed out of it, and I just like it. So this is what I run with. It does have a plus 40 crit severity and plus 5% crit chance. It does add some hit points and does have decent damage resistance. I'm sure there are better armors out there. One of the ones I have been looking at, but I have not tried out yet, is the Privateer armor. It has a bonus to kit performance that I'm interested in, but again, I have not gotten to try that out yet. Now, for shields, I personally use the Na'Kul Temporal Operative Personal Shield. The reason I use this is for a 2-piece set bonus. We have the gun, and you can get these for free in a mission. I believe it is Future Proof, I believe, and I think it's Temple Front.
The data from the future you've provided has made it clear. We need to form a stronger
you can get the gun
alliance
and the
with
shield
the major
right here.
factions. To that
So
end,
you just grind this
we're
mission
sending
twice.
delegates to the first Alliance Summit.
It's always nice to get something for free. Now, 2-piece set bonus. What are we talking about? Now, I never use the gun, so it stays as my secondary. But for the 2-piece set, you get plus 2% crit chance, plus 30% crit severity. Can't turn that down. As your main gun, different people are going to use different things. I personally, normally, I don't know why my TR is slotted. I normally use, or have been using, the Harold Lobe staff. But I have found that the plasma wide beam rifle is really good for Coney Sims. The secondary fire on it is a cone AoE, and you can vaporize like up to 5 NPCs with one shot. So you're getting a massive damage right there. You're getting quick kills, and it has a good distance to it. And also for the secondary fire, it has a short cooldown. So it's not like bully and cannon where you gotta wait half a day for it to shoot at secondary fire again. So I have on all my tunes bought and upgraded these plasma wide beam rifles up to at least you are on most of my tunes. They're at Epic. Devices. This I just personally like just for getting the extra 2 guys come down. This was from an episode, I can't remember which one. I think it's in the Iconian story arc. Power cells. For a tactical, they're your main go-to for your devices. Oh no, I'm sorry, the Shard of Possibilities, that was actually a limited time from when you could do, I think it was one of the story arcs, one of the lower ones, Dominion, I believe, or one of those. They do come back about once a year. They did this not too long ago, so I went and got it on all my tunes. It was a limited time, run though, but I've been playing and they've done it once every year. So sometime next year when they do these, reruns, make sure get it if you don't. The Temporal Flux Generator is what I was thinking of. It comes from, I believe, the Iconian story arc, but it's just a little like oh shit button basically if you're getting in trouble. Gambling device, as you can see, this is similar to a triple buff. You get your plus 10% crit chance and severity and plus 15 dodge. If you lose, you can just hit it again 30 seconds later. And the buff is good for 1 hour, so it's good for 1 sim. So very useful to use. And I forgot to mention on the traits, down here at the bottom, active reps. You just you're going to want to put in all your ground ones. Tachyon mission, it doesn't do much. The snare, it doesn't do much, and they've all got like 5-minute cooldowns. The visual dampening field is good if you're getting in trouble, so you can click that. Same with the medical nanite cloud. And defiance is another oh shit button. If you getting down, if you're almost dying, click it, and then you can survive for a minute. Alright, now let's talk about duty officers, because everybody focuses on the gun, but there's so much more behind the gun. Roster. First thing I like to do is, you've only got 5 active ground members or slots. You can buy the 6th or 1 extra from the Spire for, it's like 100 fleet credits or 150 fleet credits. I'm sorry, 150,000 fleet credits, somewhere in that ballpark. Well worth it though. As for my duty officers, now a lot of these are expensive, so you're not going to be able to get them right off the bat. But you can eventually save up and get them. I use Vol. Outgoing damage applied as healing to yourself, or a chance of it. I use a security officer for a chance to beam down additional security escorts when using security team. And then your assault squad officer, ambush, has a chance to reapply when consumed by outgoing damage. I use 3 of those. That boosts up ambush so much, or has a potential to, so I just figure it's worth it. This one doubles chance to expose. I swap this out every now and then with a crit chance officer. It's either or, it doesn't, I don't think he's as important as the others. You could also swap him out for, an extra security officer for a chance of beaming down more security team. Now, one thing a lot of people don't think about, but you can actually get buff missions. You go over to your duty officer and then like your personnel. There's mostly a lot for space, but there are some for ground, like this one here. If you do crit on it, you will get a special item. It's a buff, and it will buff up your combat armor skills. There are some for your ground weapons, ground shields, hold and control, debuffs, stuff like that. I usually do not run these. I do them for space. As you can see up here, I have some going for space, but for ground, not really, not so much. Plus, usually my stuff is filled up with space ones. I save. I try to save. A lot of these space ones and get a bunch of them, and then use them all at the same time. Let's see. Okay. A couple other things that will come in play with how you do on ground. One of the first things is your timing. Getting the first shot off, and being in the right position and so forth. With Coney Sims, it's a good thing you pretty much can count on, you see when the new wave, wave 1 through 30 is starting, and it starts about 3 seconds after you see that, fly by on the screen. So it gives you it's almost like a stopwatch. You know when to start shooting. Now if you get off to a late start, then your teammates are going to have everything killed before you start shooting. So it's important to, timing is everything. Positioning, Just like in any STF, like you know, ISAs, it's all about your positioning. Position can hurt you or help you. Same with Coney Sims, but the good thing is you're not moving around. Find a spot and stay there. A spot that you can get some flanking damage, not bad. A spot where spawns are normally spawning close by. There are certain spots on each gen that I personally really like, and I pretty much stick to those. Even if somebody's already squatted there, I'll squat right there beside them. Last but not least, keybinds. As you can see right here in my tray, I got my setup. I hit one button to execute this tray. Oh, and just to give you an idea, I will also want to mention these ground skills. You can buy them here at your Fleet Star base, right over here to this quartermaster guy. Go to the store. You can get them for engineering, tactical, and sight for space, and for ground, it just boosts all of your ground. As you can see, plus 10 to ground skills for 4 hours. I personally like getting about 10 of these at a time. They cost fleet credits. They're not expensive. Up here you can see the buff, plus 10 to ground skills. And then see my gambling device loss. Alright, we're going to look real quick okay, if I was just going to fire my gun right now, you're looking at 401 DPS. Now, we're going to boost it up with our kit modules and see what we get. Well, we haven't even started anything. It's up to 425. That's probably, this is the introspection, I'm guessing, that's, since I'm stationary. So we're looking at 437 now. Now with kit modules, we're up to almost 1600 now. So you see how much the kit modules is boosting that damage up, and as you can see now it's starting to gradually come down. That is why kit modules are so important. And you saw how easy it was for me. I was just hitting one button several times to activate all these skills in my top tray. I set my tray up this way because I use a keybind. We're going to come right over here. This is a free program, STO keybinds. It's real easy to use, and this is not cheating. This is not a macro. You cannot go AFK while using this. You still have to stay there and shoot. All you do is add key, select a key. I personally use the Talda key for mine. You add an action or activity, and what I do is, I execute full tray. Now, as you could see, this was tray row 3, so I will tray row 3. You can add other keys and other actions, but we're just doing a quick, simple, basic. Create bind file. You're going to copy a clipboard, and then all you would do is, while you're on the ground, you would just come in here and hit Control V to paste, and then hit enter. Now I've already have mine set up, so I don't need to hit enter, but it's that easy. And then all you gotta do is watch this. Boom, 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 boom. See? And also this will shoot your gun, since your gun is up here, or mine is. I used to have it over here, down here, and then I would just right click it, that way it was auto firing. But since I've started using the other gun, I'll put those up there. And if you do use a gun with like a secondary attack, you do want your secondary attack in front of your primary attack. So in this case, I would move like this down. I'd move this over here, and then my primary attack right there. So that way, if I was using the plasma wide beam, my cone attack would shoot, and then I'd follow up with my regular shots. But that is pretty much a startup how-to guide to increase, your DPS a little bit on ground. Just some basics. Use your security team when you can. Personally, in Colony Sims, I try timing out where towards, wave 2 and wave 5. That way, it'll pop back up wave 7 and wave 10. I want my security guards or escorts beaming down when you got the most spawns, because the first wave, second wave, you get less spawns, less enemies, and therefore you're going to have less DPS on the map. Therefore your security escorts are not going to give you their fullest potential. Right here is one thing that a lot of tacticals, and there's also a skill for the science officers and engineers, each is different named, but for tacticals it's Strike Team 3. It is a team damage and crit buff. It affects you and the rest of your team, plus 50% bonus all damage for 1 minute, plus 2.5% critical chance for 1 minute, plus 20% crit severity for 1 minute. This is great to use on those final waves. Wave 5, wave 10, 15, 20, 25, and 30. Now, if you have 2 or 3 tacks on your team, then you guys could stagger these out. You see, they're only good for 1 minute, so usually, especially let's say wave 30, generally it's going to last about 2 minutes or so, maybe a little bit longer. So if one of the tacticals, if they would coordinate at the beginning, and I've stopped trying because most people do not even understand what you say when you say Strike Team 3. But if one of them would hit it at the beginning of the wave, and then you hit it, halfway through, because once you use this, or if somebody else uses it, yours will be grayed out. You won't be able to use yours until his or hers is up. So if somebody hits this at the beginning of wave 5, and halfway through wave 5 you see yours light up, then you can hit yours and finish it up. I always use my shard of possibilities on the final waves, like wave 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. It's just like having security escorts. They count as pets, so they do damage, and I prefer, it has a 5-minute cooldown, so I prefer using it when there's more NPCs on the map. More NPCs mean there's more potential for damage, DPS. And then last but not least, we went over this earlier, but like your Defiance, your Medical Nanite Cloud, and Visual Deafening Shield, and your Temporal Flux Capacitor or Temporal Flux, those are just your, I'm in trouble buttons, and I need a lifeline. I need, some extra healing real quick, or, I need to be invisible for a second, what have you. Those are, I rarely ever use them. Every now and then, you get, especially if you're on a weaker team and you're drawing all the aggro, sometimes I might need it, but for the most part, I don't even ever hit these. Anyway, that is a breakdown. I hope you learned a little bit from this, and if you have any questions or anything, just message me or mail me in game, and I'll try my best to answer them. And thank you for your time.